Practical Vedanta 2, Part 5. The impersonal God is a living God, a principle. The difference between personal and impersonal is this, that the personal is only a man, and the impersonal idea is that he is the angel, the man, the animal, and yet something more which we cannot see, because impersonality includes all personalities, is the sum total of everything in the universe and infinitely more besides. As the one fire coming into the world is manifesting itself in so many forms and yet is infinitely more besides, so is the impersonal. We want to worship a living God. I have seen nothing but God all my life, nor have you. To see this chair, you must first see God and then the chair in and through him. He is everything saying, I am. The moment you feel I am, you are conscious of existence. Where shall we go to find God if we cannot see him in our own hearts and in every living being? Thou art the man, thou art the woman, thou art the girl, thou art the boy. Thou art the old man tottering with a stick. Thou art the young man walking in the pride of his strength. Thou art all that exists, a wonderful living God who is in only fact in the universe. This seems to many to be a terrible contradiction to the traditional God who lives behind a veil somewhere and whom nobody ever sees. The priests only give us an assurance that if we follow them, listen to their admonitions, and walk in the way they mark out for us, then when we die, they will give us a passport to enable us to see the face of God. What are all these heavens ideas but simply modifications of these nonsensical priestcraft? Of course, the impersonal idea is very destructive. It takes away all trade from the priests, churches, and temples. In India, there is a famine now, but there are temples in each one of which there are jewels worth a king's ransom. If the priests taught this impersonal idea to the people, their occupation would be gone. Yet we have to teach it unselfishly without priestcraft. You are God and so am I. Who obeys whom? Who worships whom? You are the highest temple of God. I would rather worship you than any temple, image, or Bible. Why are some people so contradictory in their thought? They are like fish slipping through our fingers. They say they are hard-headed practical men. Very good. But what is more practical than worshipping here, worshipping you? I see you, feel you, and I know you are God. The Mohammedan says there is no God but Allah. The Vedanta says there is nothing that is not God. It may frighten many of you, but you will understand it by degrees. The living God is within you, and yet you are building churches and temples and believing all sorts of imaginary nonsense. The only God to worship is the human soul in the human body. Of course, all animals are temples too, but man is the highest, the Taj Mahal of temples. If I cannot worship in that, no other temple will be of any advantage. The moment I have realized God sitting in the temple of every human body, the moment I stand in reverence before every human being and see God in him, that moment I am free from bondage. Everything that binds vanishes and I am free. This is the most practical of all worship. It has nothing to do with theorizing and speculation, yet it frightens many. They say it is not right. They go on theorizing about old ideals told them by their grandfathers, that a God somewhere in heaven has told someone that he was God. Since that time, we have only theories. This is practicality according to them, and our ideas are impractical. No doubt the Vedanta says that each one must have its own path, but the path is not the goal. The worship of a God in heaven and all these things are not bad, but they are only steps towards the truth and not the truth itself. They are good and beautiful, and some wonderful ideas are there, but the Vedanta says at every point, my friend, him whom you are worshipping as unknown, I worship as thee. He whom you are worshipping as unknown and are seeking for throughout the universe has been with you all the time. You are living through him, and he is the eternal witness of the universe. He whom all the Vedas worship more. He who is always present in the eternal I. He existing, the whole universe exists. He is the light and life of the universe. If the I were not in you, you would not see the sun. Everything would be a dark mass. He shining, you see the world. One question is generally asked, and it is this, that this may lead to a tremendous amount of difficulty. Every one of us will think, I am God, and whatever I do or think must be good, for God cannot be evil. In the first place, even taking this danger of misinterpretation for granted, can it be proved that on the other side the same danger does not exist? They have been worshipping a God in heaven separate from them, and of whom they are much afraid. They have been born shaking with fear, and all their lives will go on with shaking. Has the world been made much better by this? Those who have understood and worshipped a personal God, and those who have understood and worshipped an impersonal God, on which side have been the great workers of the world, gigantic workers, gigantic moral powers? Certainly on the impersonal. How can you expect morality to be developed through fear? It can never be. Where one sees another, where one hears another, that is Maya. When one does not see another, when one does not hear another, when everything has become the Atma, he sees whom, who perceives whom. Is it all he? Is it all I at the same time? The soul has become pure. Then and then alone we understand what love is. Love cannot come through fear. Its basis is freedom. When we really begin to love the world, then we understand what is meant by brotherhood or mankind, and not before.